It's hot today. And sweating is actually a weird thing. Us and other primates are the only animals that sweat. While mammals have sweat glands, they usually have far fewer. It's kinda taboo, right? I mean, it's certainly not a good look for a writer to walk in the office drenched in sweat. We wear all kinds of cologne and deodorant to cover up whatever smells we may be giving off, and literally stop ourselves from sweating by plugging up our glands with aluminum compounds or whatever. Then we go to saunas or wear plastic bags to sweat it out real hard to detox or lose weight. Obviously, getting exercise is healthy, but we have this perception that sweating specifically is healthy for its own reasons, that we push junk out through our pores. What is that? Do we really excrete toxins in our sweat? Is it the cleanse we've made it out to be? The main role of sweating is thermoregulation, to keep those body temperatures level to avoid exhaustion or heat stroke. The sweat is secreted onto the skin, where it evaporates and lowers the internal temperature. To start, we have 3 types of sweat glands: eccrine, apocrine, and apoeccrine. Eccrine glands are the one to remember. These are the most numerous on the body, with between 2 and 4 million glands located on every kind of skin, both glabrous and non-glabrous, meaning hairy or not. They're most concentrated on our palms and the soles of our feet, and they respond mostly to temperature, but also emotional stimulus, which I believe is why Eminem's palms were sweaty. The sweat that is secreted from eccrine glands is salt water, but it does have trace amounts of other stuff like interstitial fluid, which is fluid that sort of hangs out between your organs. Apocrine glands are located on the face, scalp, breasts, the axilla, the armpits, and the perineum, aka the gooch, the drag strip, the grundle, the snars, the taint, the bronch, the fairway, the Pacific rim, or the forbidden rim. These larger glands open into hair follicles and secrete a more fatty sweat, filled with proteins, sugar, and ammonia. In other animals, this gland is also used for pheromones, but in humans, this function is underdeveloped.
Oh. It's you.
Finally are the apoeccrine glands, which develop from eccrine glands in the axilla, where they account for about 45% of the glands. While they are located on glabrous skin, they secrete sweat right onto the skin surface. Again, it's also mostly salt water. However, considering the location, it's not really ideal for thermoregulation. So that's probably why people want to plug them up with antiperspirant. Aside from salt water, sweat contains metals and other minerals. Electrolytes also come out when we sweat. And that's why this video is sponsored by Gatorade. Make sure you get your electrolytes. Be like Mike. Be like Mike. No, just kidding. Unless Gatorade wants to sponsor us, of course. There are both micronutrients and, well, non-micronutrients that are secreted with sweat. However, the amounts of these elements are so small that they're measured in moles, which is an international unit of really small stuff. A whole entire mole is defined as 6.022140076 times 10 to the power 23 particles, which can be atoms or molecules. But the toxins we're looking for inside the sweat sample are measured in 1,000th of that. Some of those micronutrients are potassium, calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc, and copper, which range from 8 millimoles per liter to 0.02 millimoles per liter. And that's being generous. On the other hand, non-micronutrients, or the perceived toxins we secrete, like lactate, urea, ethanol, ammonia, bicarbonate, glucose, and other heavy metals can range from 40 millimoles per liter to 0.0006 millimoles per liter.
Oh, my life's work!
Then you have other things like antibodies, amino acids, and other toxins that are even more difficult to measure. So it would seem that there are quite a lot of both nutrients and toxins coming out of our bodies when we sweat. But we have to take into account the limitations of being able to measure these things. Lindsay Baker, in her article Physiology of Sweat Glands Function, The Role of Sweating and Sweat Composition in Human Health, lays out 5 limiting factors to measure sweat composition. Those are skin cleaning and preparation, sweat stimulation, sweat collection, sample storage, and analytical technique. Again, those micronutrients and toxins I listed earlier, those are high estimates. On top of that, everyone certainly has variations in their sweat composition. And Dr. Baker says multiple times throughout her article that there's just not enough literature on this subject. The evidence, however, does not really favor the notion of sweating as a detox. If you ask me, it's probably more of a feeling or a hunch, some sort of sensation that feels good after breaking a sweat. You know, endorphins. This is all to say that you should be much more inclined to trust your renal system, that is your kidney and bladder, to be cleansing your body of toxins.
Detox?
And I get it, peeing isn't quite as cultured as, say, sweating in a Roman bath or a Swedish sauna, but we sure are detoxing much more efficiently through those metabolic processes. So while we do see toxins present in our sweat, we just can't be sure whether they're in high enough quantity to really make a difference to our health. Dr. Joe Schwartz, professor of chemistry at McGill University, said it's not figure-outable, which I presume is a technical term. He then went on to make the comparison of removing a pipette worth of water from a bathtub. There's no appreciable difference, but it theoretically does reduce the risk of drowning. So, in the end, it turns out that sweating is not ridding me from toxins more effectively than my renal system. There may very well be some benefits of sweating, aside from the usual thermoregulation, but we just don't know. To make things more difficult, it's not really a practical thing to test. You would need a really large sample size of participants and a very rigorous method of cleaning the skin so that the samples won't be contaminated. And all the praise for saunas being a detox is simply not backed by science. So in the meantime, definitely keep sweating to stay cool, because it's definitely healthy. And when you want to detox, go ahead and thank your renal system by taking a leak. Thanks for watching. You can find all the research below. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.